Hi, my name is Karthik Pushpraj. I work with Endeavour Software Technologies. We leverage Agile Software Development methodologies to build mobile applications for a wide range of businesses across the globe. Now, these businesses could be banking, insurance, or healthcare, etc. In this video, we will cover basics of Agile Software Development and some of the challenges faced by new Scrum teams, especially with the ceremonies, and how to overcome them. Yes, why not? Remember, thumb rule, never skip a ceremony unless and until the reasons are quite extreme in nature. And again, when you're going to start a practice of skipping a ceremony, you're most likely going to skip any other ceremony for whatsoever reasons ever. So, never skip a ceremony. Now, from the electronic tools that we use for the Scrum implementation, like Rally or version 1 or any other tool that you may be using, the current state of the product increment in that particular sprint is known to the entire team. So right before you attend sprint review, most likely all the stakeholders in the Scrum team do know that none of the user stories have been completed. So go ahead, attend the sprint review meeting and update all the team members and the stakeholders about the progress as what has happened in the sprint. Now, further to that, if the product owner or the stakeholders might want to still see a demonstration of what has been completed, please feel free to show the demonstration. Fundamentally, mature Scrum teams, especially the teams that have experience in working with Scrum teams, are open about sharing their inputs in the retrospect. But seldom that happens, right? In normal teams, especially the teams that are getting started up with Scrum, some of them are very reserved in sharing their inputs, some of them always share their inputs, and some of them share their inputs or thoughts based on need. But that doesn't sound like to be a great Scrum team if not everyone is participative in it. So what do we do in order that everyone participates? Well, there are a few justified, but convinced ways of conducting retrospects. One of the classical approaches could be the Scrum Master shares a piece of paper on which every team member would want to share the positives as well as the negatives of how the sprint went. Later, the Scrum Master collects all these chits from the team members and puts it in a box, and then they shuffle it, remove one by one, read it out to the team, and from there they infer what improvements can be made in the next sprints. There is another standard and well accepted method to run the retrospects, quite well used in Endeavour as well, something called the happiness histogram. Now, what is this happiness histogram? A happiness histogram is a scale on which you can measure your happiness about how the sprint went. It's very simple. What happens is every team member is allowed to choose a number, let's say from 1 to 5, 1 being the least of happiness and 5 being the most happiest. Now, when I go ahead and choose, let's say 4, I would need to explain to the team as to why I choose 4 to be very happy, and what's it that 1 point that is not making me very happy about the sprint. And from here onwards, you can draw what are the improvements that can be made in the future sprints. Now, this goes on with each team member, and everyone shares what is the happiness scale as per them. Often, especially in onshore-offshore model where the Scrum teams are distributed, the daily stand-up meeting happens together. And in this meeting, generally they are audio conference calls. Now, when onshore is updating the daily stand-up, sometimes it so happens that the offshore might put their phone on mute and might have separate discussions on their own, or the other way around. Now, how do we ensure that this does not happen and you have all the attention of the team in the stand-up? How about video call? For Scrum teams that are just getting started with Scrum, it might be a little difficult for them to start with video stand-up calls. Then, the video calls ensure everyone's attention is in the stand-up meeting. It at least ensures that you're being watched. So that brings your attention into the meeting. Now, video calls are also helpful in other ceremonies like story pointing sessions, where when the Scrum Master says, "Ready, get set, go," everyone flashes the cards at the same time, both onshore and offshore, and holds on to the card until the Scrum Master makes an opinion or draws out what are the points for the user story in the context. So video calls, not just the story pointing or other ceremonies. We would encourage you to have video calls in most of the ceremonies. Folks, so we've seen some of the challenges that are being faced by Scrum teams that just get started with Scrum. But you know, Agile is an ocean, and then we'll come back with more of this. So until then, happy Scrumming.